Good morning. Welcome to the organizational meeting of the Audit Committee for May 22nd, 2023. I'm Lene Palmisano and I chair this committee. At this time, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll so we can verify a quorum.
Committee Member Koski.
Present.
Williams.
Present.
Renner.
Present.
Hosvine.
Present.
Abeni.
Present.
Singleton.
Present.
Chair Palmisano.
Present.
There are 7 members present.
Thank you. Let the record reflect we have a quorum. At this time, I just want to take a moment to welcome our new committee members, Lily Hosbein, Sarah Renner, Hallie Williams, and acknowledge just how much we appreciate your willingness to serve on this committee, and recognize the amount of pre-work that has already gone into this before today, including different kinds of training like ethics training and ADHR. Thank you for the time that you've already put in to this commitment and for the time that you're planning to commit to this in the future. You demonstrate the kind of dedication to our city and your willingness to make a positive impact in these kinds of ways that are really important and about keeping the public trust. So our agenda is before us, and may I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries and the agenda is adopted. Our first order of business is to elect a vice chair for this reconstituted committee, and I would like to move to nominate Jay Singleton as the vice chair. Jay has been part of this committee as a community member in the past, and have really valued her contributions and her willingness to step into this role and be part of agenda settings and some of that day-to-day administrativia that I'm going to need from a support perspective. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, could I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of Jay Singleton's nomination as vice chair, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That carries, and Jay Singleton is now the vice chair. Congratulations. Thank you for your willingness to do that. Our next item of business, item number 3, is consideration of the adoption of the Audit Committee Charter. And we're going to have a staff presentation. I'll turn it over to Mr. Patrick.
New Audit Committee members, I'll echo what Chair Palmisano said in thanking you for your willingness to serve on this committee. Your work really makes ours better. It's what makes internal audit unique, and the willingness of and majority of community members now on the committee, which is something new, is a testament to how Minneapolis is working. So thank you, and I look forward to working with you all. I'm going to talk today about the Audit Charter. It's a high-level blueprint for how we do our work and operate under our governing structure. One of the key pieces of the Audit Charter is that it reiterates our independence. The fact that we report to you is something unlike anywhere else in the city. Our work goes to you, you supervise it, you provide input. There's no other body in the city that has this direct line of work with an appointed body such as you. And it demonstrates your commitment to supporting the work. By affirming this charter, you are dedicated to preserving the mission of audit as it does its business. So there are 4 elements, primary elements to an audit charter, and I'll say the audit charter that you have before you is pulled from the Institute of Internal Auditors Model Audit Charter. So it's not particularly unique. This is something that our standards, the International Professional Practices Framework, requires of audit committees to function in the way under the standards that we need to do. So it's pulled from that. I'm going to describe those elements, but this is part of the model blueprint. So our mission, our standards, the authority we have, and the objectivity we show. These are the key elements of the charter. So our mission, again, pulled from the standards, providing independent, objective assurance and consulting activities. That's the big high line for audit. This is what we do, and the bigger mission value and how we do it. The standards themselves, guided by the IIA's international standards for the professional practice of internal auditing. So I know it's kind of a mouthful. Usually you hear it as an acronym, but that is called, kind of informally called the Red Book. That is the standards that most audit organizations around the world use to do their work. It's probably the most common, and it is one of the most well-researched and longest-lasting set of audit standards. Our authority, this is pretty critical. Having free, full, and unrestricted access to just about anything we need to do to complete our audit work. This is something that is absolutely critical to every organization. If we don't have that free, full, unrestricted access, we can't do our work. So that is really critical for us. Having access to all the records, having free and full access to you all to do our work and senior management, and obtaining the necessary assistance of personnel as the staff that are doing the work are the ones who are really, the people who are enmeshed in it. They're the people that we need to speak with. Objectivity. We need to remain objective in our work. So we report to you, 2 council members, 1 Park and Recreation Board member, and 4 Minneapolis residents. You appoint me and the internal audit director. You will confirm. The fact that we report to you and not to anyone else in the city allows us to be truly independent, not to the mayor, not to anyone else in the administration, not to any other person who works for the city. We report to you. That is truly unique. And maintaining this, we don't perform operational duties for the cities or boards and commissions. We don't get enmeshed in the work itself. We're the ones who review it. We don't initiate or approve policies or procedures outside of the office of the city auditor in our normal functioning. If we get involved in establishing other city policies, then we lose the ability to be objective as we review those in future work. And we don't direct activities of any city employees. We don't manage or supervise city employees except to the extent that they've been assigned to auditing teams or to otherwise assist the internal auditors. So we may provide some direction if we're in a hiring process to someone from HR, but that is not us directing the actions of another city employee. We also have something unique in our audit group, the Policy and Research Division, that was established in the Code of Ordinances for the purpose of providing professional, nonpartisan research, analysis, evaluation, and consulting services to the City Council and its committees to support their legislative policymaking and oversight functions. Why in the City Auditor's Office? They need to remain independent and nonpartisan. Their ability to report to you any conflicts is critical to helping them remain independent and nonpartisan. If they're going to provide advice and neutral, nonpartisan research back to council, it's critical that they don't necessarily report to council so they can tell the truths that need to be told. And that is enshrined in the Audit Charter. So that is my overview of the charter. You have it before you. I would ask for your adoption of it so we can continue to do the good audit work that we do.
Thank you. Do my colleagues have any questions about this presentation? You can signal an interest in speaking by just taking this flag and putting it up, and I'll call on you in the order. I'm not seeing any. It's a pretty straightforward presentation. So I will move to adopt the Audit Committee Charter. Could I have a second to that?
Second.
Abene, seconds. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That carries, and that item is approved. Our next item of business, item number 4, is receiving and filing an overview of the Office of City Auditor. Again, I'll have Mr. Patrick start.
Thank you, Chair Palmisano, Audit Committee members. I'm going to do a brief presentation that gives you a very high-level view of the audit work in progress. You're going to hear plenty more about it in the weeks and months to come, so this is just a small bite of the apple so you can see the scope and breadth of the work that my team is doing. Before I get started, I'd like to recognize my team and introduce them again. Kamlan Alideh is one of our senior auditors with the department. He's been here for years now, works all across the enterprise, and we're lucky to have him. Travis Kam, again, been here for a long time and is now working as a community safety auditor, so one of the new audit positions that focuses on the community safety audit branch. Allison Newman is a new senior auditor with our department, a certified fraud examiner who handles a lot of our fraud cases that come in. We have Corey Harlan, who is brand new to the department as an internal auditor. Ryan Franson, one of our new community safety auditors, someone who's been working on police body camera research and other police research for years in the Civil Rights Department and now with the City Auditor's Office. Andrew Hawkins, a member of our policy and research team with extensive government research experience. Not pictured here today is Nikita Lane, who had to be out, another internal auditor with our department who comes here from the city attorney's office as a victim witness specialist, so very unique skill set for us. And Jody Molinar Hansen, who is another policy and research team member, has been with the city for over 20 years with extensive experience all across the enterprise. I don't believe I've missed anyone. Our team has grown considerably, and I am truly lucky to have them working with us. It's a really nice, diverse group, all sorts of array of experience, and I think you'll see as the projects we roll out, just the kind of scope and breadth of the work that we do. So we'll just run through each of the projects, the first being the IT outage after action review. There was a major outage for our IT systems in August of 2022. We are working with a cybersecurity vendor to assess how that occurred and any continuing risks that remain. That project is on track for reporting at an upcoming audit committee meeting. So we're in the reporting phase, which means we're the vendor who is an audit team is working with IT to produce the report, agree upon everything, and get that finalized. The IAM event review. We're reviewing the contracting process and spend related to the IAM event. This was something that came up as a concern after the event occurred. We're working again with a vendor who specializes in forensic accounting to create a timeline of events that occurred and the spending associated with those. And again, that's on track for reporting at a near coming audit committee meeting. Revenue and collections audit is in progress, so we are reviewing the design and effectiveness of controls around city revenue and collections. So when we take in money, where are we taking money? Are there appropriate controls in place to monitor that as it occurs? And moving into the fieldwork phase now. Fieldwork being moving past planning into the actual testing. The Minneapolis MECC, Minneapolis Emergency Communications Center, third-party and intergovernmental relationship consultation. Another lengthy name for a very important project. We're looking at, in this instance, the nature and extent of contracts that our own Emergency Communications Center 911 has with other governmental agencies, how that increases our responsibilities, what those contracts entail, and what associated risks might exist with those. So again, we have a very busy MECC system, and so knowing the extent and scope of the work that they're doing and collecting that and working with them to make sure that they're able to meet those demands and contracts that we have in place, we are moving into the fieldwork phase on that with reporting soon to follow. Our community safety auditors are initiating now the Neighborhood Safety Departmental Risk Assessment Consultation. So if you recall, not too long ago, under the Health Department, there was created an Office of Violence Prevention. In the last budget cycle, that department was moved under the Community Safety Branch and established as its own department. So it went from a division in the Health Department to now its own department, and that's a challenging transition. And so our community safety auditors are working with that team up front to do a risk assessment activity that helps them self-identify, evaluate, and respond to their own risks. So it's a great opportunity to head off up front some of those things, get them to identify them, use our audit staff as subject matter experts in risk assessment so that they can improve their own operations before problems arise. In the planning phase, meeting with management, they're working to craft the whole scope and objective for that engagement currently. Property and evidence audit. So the property and evidence room, we did conduct an audit with them a number of years ago. After that audit occurred, that group moved to a whole new property and evidence room, new procedures and whatnot. So we are going back to review those processes and controls to make sure they're functioning as intended in the new evidence warehouse. So we're in the initial planning stages in the requesting information and conducting research. The community safety audit staff is also conducting a data analysis of officer injured on duty. So it's reviewing data across the community safety branch related to injured on duties and analyzing that for trends, and that is in progress. And we are required annually, biannually, to test the police departments. So in 1 year, it's the park board body-worn camera program and license plate reader program. In the next year, it's the Minneapolis Police Department's body-worn camera, so it's staggered year after year. This year, it's the Minneapolis Police Department. We work with a cybersecurity vendor using the state law requirements to test whether or not their process is operating under appropriate boundaries with those state law requirements, and that is in progress, soon to be reported. Happy to answer any questions before we move on to the next section.
I'm not seeing any questions.
All right, next is a very brief note about fraud, waste, and abuse investigations. So our staff are required, we are required when fraud, waste, and abuse is reported to us to conduct investigations. If there's a financial loss to the city, we are required to report that loss to the state auditor to recover funds if those funds were lost. And we are also in those investigations looking at process and controls that may have not functioned that would allow fraud, waste, or abuse to occur, and then may provide recommendations back to management on how to address those. We currently have 4 investigations in progress. We don't generally share the contents of those investigations while they're ongoing. The thing to note about those is if we do see trends, patterns, issues, things that highlight risk, that may turn into a more fulsome audit. Our prior audit issue follow-up. We have 31 issues open. That's a large number. That does include a very robust December Audit Committee meetings audit issues where we completed our 2 HR audits, so one of the hiring and promotions process, one of the internal investigations process, which added 20 plus audit issues to the open issues. We have a number of, we did a mobile device management audit. Those are coming due now, and you should have a presentation in the near future when IT finishes implementation of those audit issues to close those out. And we have two audit issue validations in progress. And that is the work of the current audit department. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. You know, I know that this is very familiar to those continuing audit community members, or audit committee members, but a lot of it is brand new and just a taste of what's coming for the new members of this committee. Councilmember Koski.
Thank you, Chair Palmisano. Quick question, the neighborhood, if we can go back to our new neighborhood safety department, I'm just wondering with the transition of the interim director, if that's gonna slow this work down or if there's a plan or if maybe some of the work has already been done.
Chair Palmisano, Committee Member Koski, the current and outgoing interim director of the department was pretty enthusiastic to get this project started and has been very willing to share information and work with us. I don't anticipate, based on the buy-in of that branch, that we will necessarily be kind of stymied in doing the work. However, with leadership transitions, obviously there's gaps that occur, knowledge gaps that cease to be there. But we will work to try and complete as much as we can before the current director leaves and make sure that work is in progress and continues.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts or questions? Commissioner Abene.
Thank you, Chair Palmisano. Back to the last, you have your summary of open audit issues of 31 and so on. I think, are a number of those, though, getting close to being finished, or, and then in terms of the 2023 plan that was adopted, do you think you're going to be at least able to initiate everything that was in that adopted plan this calendar year?
Yeah. Chair Palmisano, Committee Member Abene, a number of those are coming close to due, and we hope to have those completed. With HR, there was a transition and a new HR Chief Human Resources Officer who came on board recently, who I know is working to remediate those audit issues. They do have a bit longer timeline for some of those. The mobile device ones certainly should be coming close to due, coming close to completion at least. As far as the audit plan, we adjust frequently kind of our work in progress. So for example, if an audit project, if let's say there's something that comes up that would delay that project, that might allow us to spin up another one. So we always want to have essentially a number of projects on the plan in a flexible way so we can kind of start those quickly. So as projects wrap, we'll take on new ones. We did just get the kind of risk assessment and audit plan solidified in April. So we probably, in a yearly cycle by next April, I wouldn't say that we will complete all the audits or necessarily initiate all the audits that are on the plan. It's good to have that scope so we can have the flexibility to do that. But we, it's an ambitious plan. We have a good staff. We'll get the priority ones done that we can.
Thank you. I just, this is kind of my first real full cycle, and so I think it's also worth acknowledging that there's been a lot of time, going into building up the staffing and the new model and all of that as well. I mean, not that you're not doing a ton of work as well, but I just kind of wanted to understand how that's going to flow through the year. So that's helpful to know. You want essentially a backlog. Okay, thank you.
Other questions or comments? I'm not seeing any. This is a lot to take in, and I know that Mr. Patrick and his team avail themselves to lots of other kinds of informative and introductory meetings about these different topics, so I'll appreciate that those can take place and invite committee members to reach out through Mr. Patrick as you might have questions in preparation for the next meeting that'll have a lot more substance to it in regards to the work of this team. I really appreciate the team being here today and meeting and greeting these new committee members. But seeing no further questions or comments right now, I will direct the clerk to receive and file this report. And seeing no further business before us and without objection, I will declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Questions about city services.
Minneapolis farmers markets are in